Halfway there, when the retinue reached the rosh hanikra cliff, the bride suddenly jumped off her horse, dived into the abyss, and disappeared below the waves. That bride has never been seen again. But if you visit the cliff top and listen carefully, you can hear her sighs accompanying the sound of crashing waves. The sea and the rock have been conducting a love affair here for hundreds of millennia. Sometimes it is quiet, slow, and caressing. The sea laps at the rock, dashes against its face, leaving its mark and changing it step by step. In hours of stormy emotion, the sea crashes against the rock, pounding it with the force of a powerful engine. First comes a wave of compressed air, entering each crack in the rock and beginning to crumble it. Then come grains of sand, shells, and stones, swept in with the waves and hurled against the rock, shattering and smoothing it. To add to all this, the sea hurls the salt spray against the cliff, covering the rock with a thin layer of salt, which hastens the disintegration. And the rock abandons itself, slowly changes, and the changes accumulate, increase over the centuries and millennia. And the crevices, marine caverns, how were they created? A chain of subterranean shocks created cracks in the rock. With time, raindrops seeped through these cracks into the heart of the rock and began to melt it. Expand it, melt, and expand until they created little tunnels and caves. The seawater and the waves which poured into the tunnels continued the work, deepening and widening the tunnels till they became marine caves, the famous caverns. In the dark world of the caverns lurks the bat, the only mammal which can fly. It has no need of vision to find its way. It emits high-frequency sounds, picking up signals from the objects in its path. The bat is a frightening creature, perhaps because it resembles pictures of demons, or because of the superstition that become entangled in women's hair. Under cover of night, a female brown sea turtle crawls onto land south of the rock. She digs a hole, lays several dozen eggs, and covers them for protection against birds and animals of prey. About 60 days later, when the night turtles, climb out, and hasten toward the sea. How do these newly hatched little turtles know how to find the sea? They apparently see the waves shimmering in the distance. They hurry before the sun rises and drives them out with fatal results, and before the birds and beasts of prey arrive. The rush for light is speeded up, becomes more frenzied as they approach the water. And the grown turtles will never forget the shore they came from. The females will return when it is time to lay their eggs. And human beings, they made rosh hanikra, or as it was once called, the Ladder of Tyre, into a crossing point. According to legend, Abraham passed here on his way from Mesopotamia, where he was born, to the land of Israel. From here he observed people weeding at the time of weeding, hoeing at the time of hoeing, and said, "May my lot be cast in with this land." And God said to him, "To thy seed will I give this land." All kinds of merchandise passed along here by land and by sea, including the cedar wood which the kings of Tyre sent for the building of the first temple of Solomon, and for the second temple in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah. And man brought the sounds of war here. The armies of Egypt, Persia and Greece, Romans, Crusaders, Arabs, Turks, the French, and the British. Unlike the animals, man did not come seeking harmony with nature. And in late 1941, the sounds of explosions were heard here, followed by the hammering of heavy equipment and machinery. The British, who ruled the country then, had decided no more climbing to the top of the cliff. It's time to go through it. And they were excavating and drilling. More than 10,000 workers, Australians, New Zealanders, South Africans, and local laborers, were spread out between Acre, Beirut, and Tripoli. It was a tremendous effort aimed at creating a rail link from Egypt through Palestine and Lebanon to Turkey, and then on to Europe, so that the British Army could move troops and weapons for the struggle against the Nazis. The line was completed within a year. 15 bridges were built. Supporting walls were constructed to hold back the sea, and tunnels were dug. Two of them, 190 meters long, were dug in the rosh hanikra rock, and a bridge which stretched over the opening of the largest cavern. The trains, mostly freight trains, were pulled by large steam engines and carried military and other supplies for the British troops. In mid-1944, when Europe was in flames and the Holocaust at its height, a train passed through here carrying 300 survivors of the death camps. Later, illegal immigrants managed to sneak aboard the British Army trains and to smuggle themselves into Palestine. On the eve of the War of Independence, it was rumored that the Lebanese army was planning to use the railroad line to transport fighters and weapons to Galilee and Haifa. A group of Haganah fighters set out to cut off the crossing point. The site chosen for the sabotage was the bridge connecting the two railroad tunnels at rosh hanikra. between sea and rock goes on here at Rosh, veering from calm to storm, continuing to change the face of the landscape for hundreds and thousands of years. Animals still dwell here on this site, which has been declared a nature reserve, and the turtles still return to the shore from afar. And perhaps in the near future, rarer creatures will return, such as the monk seals, which lived here in the caverns and among the rocks until only a few decades ago. And the bride from the legend still hovers around, protecting the brides who wed.